Today we are gonna go through how I dice cast. Now I do want to preference this because I didn't come up with this concept myself, and I guess I don't really need to do this. Like, people don't go, I didn't come up with tarot, but I'll do this anyway because the person that taught me this really helped me, and her name's Michelle Dawn. She's I'll link her channel. This is her channel. You can't even see her face. Let me move this out. There. This is her channel. She has a video very similar to this actually as well. And I'd highly recommend you checking her out. Her and another lady came up with this concept together, and she's into D&D, I'm into D&D. So I had a deck or a set of dice, which are these. So for those of you that don't know why we're here today, we are doing divination with a set of dice. You've got them all in the bottom left corner, if you don't know what they are. So in the middle is the D20, but we'll go through them. So let me write these out. You've got a D4, and everything that I'm writing today, I'll have it on my Discord, so do check that out. It might be easier to go to my TikTok or Instagram to get the links to that, but yeah, if you're in my Discord, you can see everything I'm going to show you today as well. Right, I'll try and hyperlink it at the bottom if I can as well, but it's in like notes at the moment, so I can't like show you a PDF or anything. Sorry, I've missed one. Right, we've got D4, D6, D8, 2 D10s. So we'll call it the D10, D100, D12. Don't worry, this will all make sense very soon. And D20. So, using these 7 dice, I've created a system very similar to what Michelle Dawn had created, and I use it for divination. Now, I'll show you the PDF. This is what everyone's here for. So if you want, pause the video here. By all means, write this down if you don't want to find this picture on my Discord, because I think the more people that use this, the better. Like, if you've got a calling to use this, just please do. And if you want to take this away and even teach it to other people, please reference me. But I mean, I'm not exactly the police, so I'm not going to do anything about it if you don't. So, going now, this is in order of how I read them. So I go from D4, D12, D10, D100, D20, D8, D6, and I'm going to go through all of this now. For those of you that want to know how I do a reading with these cards, but let's go back to this. So let's begin with the D4. I'm going to try and break this down as simply as I can. So D4, if any of you know tarot, which I'm assuming you do if you're in this channel, the D4 allows you to tap into the court cards, and you can actually use the D10 as well. Now, this is what I mean by take this however you want. You can go through. I think it might just be easier if I upload this photo on here, and then I can talk about it. Pictures. 1 second. Here we go. Oh. All right. Wait, let me go back to drawing. Here we go. There we go. Can you all see that? I hope so. Let's start with the D4. So the D4 here, Shiblau. The D4 covers the minor arcana. So swords, cups, wands and pentacles. These also, if you know the tarot, have their own corresponding element, which is air, water, fire and earth. I'm gonna try not to just read off this, like you can all see that. But the way I use this is to determine the energy. This is why I roll it first when I'm doing this. And you can roll these however you like. You can roll them all at once, or you can roll them one at a time. Maybe if you're doing it for someone else, you can get them to roll it if you feel like you need their energy to be involved. And just a fun way of bringing them into the reading. Or you can roll it for them if you're doing this online or something. So this gives me an energy. So if I just roll the dice, I got a 1. That's the swords. So this is everything that goes on in your conscious mind. And yes, so you've got mind and conflict. So if you think of court cards like the 5 of swords, the 7 of swords being stabbed in the back, the 3 of swords getting heartbreak, these are all things that we do to ourselves out of a reaction to what has happened to us in the world. And so I'll try and do this like a reading, and maybe you'll get something out of this as well by the end. But so if I was giving a reading, I would immediately assume that we are holding ourselves back because of some form of, I don't want to use mental illness because that's taking it a bit far. That's not going to apply to everyone, but it could be as severe as mental illness if we're going down that route. Then we move to the D12, and so if I roll this, I've got a 9, which is Virgo, so health down here. So I've got the zodiac and their house. So Virgo's house is health, and then I've also got like a description word. So for me, Virgo has always been disciplined. They're always very good at what they do whenever they devote themselves towards something. And therefore, through discipline of your mind, you can completely heal your body. Again, I don't know who this reading's for, so please, if this applies to you, enjoy. But just from 2, we've already got a very strong foundation of where we're coming from. Now we move on to the D10s. You've got 2 D10s, and let me show you what they look like, because having 2 D10s and one being called D10 and one called D100 may sound confusing, but as you can see, this one is reversed in the camera. This one goes from 10 to 00, so 00 is 100, or 0, depending on how you want to use the dice. And actually, just going backwards, for the zodiacs, what I meant by you can incorporate and change whatever you like. Some of you may be very into the actual planets. Well, by all means, rewrite this out and add the planets to the zodiacs, and then you've got even more information to draw from while you are doing these readings. I haven't done it here, but when I was creating this, or like using the skeleton from Michelle's, I was thinking about creating one of these D10s as a way of drawing out an actual minor arcana card. So in theory you would roll the D4 and the D10, and so if I do it now, I've got D1, which is swords, and I have the 5, so the 5 of swords. If you don't like either of these D10s, by all means change it to that meaning, but I just wanted to give you some ideas of how you can make your own version of this reading if it applies to you, but it doesn't work as of, so you can think of almost think of these as numerology. I was going to write numerology, I don't know how to spell numerology, I'm kidding with myself. So let's go to the D10. This one. This is time frame. And so as you can see, I can quickly go through this list. Past life, that is not this lifetime. I am talking about your previous incarnations, which would mean that, so if I roll this, Perfect. I rolled the 1. This allows me to perfectly describe this towards this reading. In terms of what you are experiencing now, this may not be healing you need in your physical body. Especially if we're talking about your mind, this may be ancestral healing, karmic healing. And so let's roll the D100 as well, because if you look at number 9, there is karma as one of the readings, but we got 10. So we've got birth. You are still very much a child to this idea of your ancestors needing healing. And for not all people that is the case, but in terms of those of you that are taking this as a reading as well, realize that a lot of the thoughts that you have probably aren't even yours. It's things that have been given to you, ideas and frequencies that have been offered to you, and because you had no control of your energy, you have just taken them and gone, well, it's inside my head, it has to be me. And so I'm sure it will come up later, but what are the things you can do to move on from being manipulated by your mind is realizing your mind is a muscle like any other part of your body. And if you want to make it bigger or stronger, well, use it in a conscious way. And you'll start to be able to tap into the strengths of your mind instead of your mind controlling you. So let's explain this dice a little bit more as well. Well, first of all, let me just finalize this one. Past life, current past, present moment, hour, day, week, month, year, 3 years. And I've limited it to 3 years because if you're trying to give yourself a reading for like 20 years in the future, let's be honest, you're going to forget it. So you can, as always, there is no limit to anything in life, but I would recommend, especially if you're just doing this for yourself, limit it to 3 years, especially if you're writing these down. You don't, like, it's great to be able to just chuck away your notes after 3 years. And you can do that if it's limited. And also the way I use this can be time frame in terms of the action you're taking, how quickly things can manifest. If it's a prediction reading, how quickly things are actually going to play out. And if, like we're doing in this reading, I've used the time frame to see when issues may have occurred. Also that last one, time is fractal. So if you think we are all one, we are all one. There is only ever one present moment. So yes, our life seems to snake around, but this is all happening within our present moment as one. And so if you roll the 10, realize time has nothing to do with it. And therefore it can be dealt with in the present. You may have already dealt with this multiple times in your past lives. You are probably going to deal with it multiple times in the future as well. So now we can move on from the D10. Let's finish with the D100, which is the cycle you are in. And quickly going through this, you have birth, childhood, awakening, adulthood, midlife crisis, elderly, death, rebirth, karma, destiny. So from birth to death, that would represent a normal life, but also the cycles within it. So anything that you're excited about, well, if you've got a new excitement, so let's use this reading with you tapping into your astrology and your ancestors, This may be a new concept to you and you may know nothing about it. But the moment you start tapping into it, you then gain access to asking your ancestors for guidance. Any ancestry healing that you do, then you are also rewarded for. And so if we just go through it, what comes next is innocence, where you're just like amused and enjoying the journey. And then the next one is the most fun, and we always find ourselves here, which is awakening, which I've written as learning because I'm trying to be kind. But let's be honest, it's us getting cocky, us going, oh yeah, I know everything now. And we do things that we probably shouldn't. We get our fingers burnt, and then we become an adult and become responsible with what we've learned. Then we have the midlife life crisis, which humbles us and allows us to get to the point of being elderly, where we now want to teach what we have given. And I mean, I get this a lot, where people go, "You're too young to know what you know," and in terms of just what I know, because I don't know everything. That would be dumb of me to think that. Like a mantra of mine is, "I'm never the smartest person in the room." But in terms of what I have learned, so this dice stuff, I'm nowhere near elderly yet. I'm teaching it as a way of learning. So I would very much say I am still in the awakening part of this part of my journey. The tarots, I've been doing it for 7 years. I understand so much, to the point of how it's helped me. I do genuinely feel like I'm at a point where I can help others with this. So that's how the cycles work. And so I've had a whole cycle, or what feels like a whole cycle, within 7 years of my life. Just as an example. Now, moving on to the D20. Now, for those of you that know the major arcana, there's 22 cards. But I've removed the first and last card for convenience. But the first card is the Fool. This reading is about you. The Fool is the person on their journey. So realize that you are the Fool. It's going back to that last point of, you're not the smartest person in the room. And then you also remove the World at the very end. And this is the world that you are living in. So again, realize that you are part of the world. And it's not crucial towards these readings. So let's pull a dice. And we have 17, which is the star. So remain hopeful. The way I've laid this out is, I've done a positive or negative, or you could see it as if the card was in the upright position or reversed position. And again, you can roll the dice and literally look at how the number is facing you. So I just pulled a 13 and it was like that. So I would put that in the upright position. If it was like that, I would put it in reversed. You can do it on feeling if you're physically talking to someone and a lot of what you've already done is coming off as quite negative, then look towards the negative side of things. And if it's positive, look towards the positive. For this, we've got two things, hope and insecurity. Well, insecurity makes a lot more sense, seeing that we're dealing with swords and the ideas in our mind. So towards this reading about our ancestors, insecurities are probably what is being held on to. And therefore we have imprisoned ourselves. We are holding on to insecurities that are stopping us from opening up to our power, to what is held within the knowledge of our ancestors. Because as with all things, the dial of positive and negative can be moved at any moment. And so even though your ancestors right now may be a talking point, may be an issue that needs to be healed, that needs to be unconditionally loved, it is something that will one day then become a blessing as someone you can call upon as guidance. Then moving on, we have the D8. This is your chakras. Let me roll. And we have 3, which is the solar plexus. Solar plexus underneath the heart. So this is your willpower. This is where you are motivated, where you are disciplined, or where you find discipline. And so realize that you've got a lot of energy towards this. You may not have even realized the potential here until getting this reading. But now I'm sure you're getting the feeling that you would love to just do some further research into your ancestors. And again, you can do this in multiple ways, which is why I love giving readings like this, because for one person they may go, well, let me think about my dead grandparents or great grandparents. Others may go, well, this is my lineage to tribal people, and I'm not caring about the person, I am caring about, if we're talking about shamans and things like that, we're talking about their practices. And so for all of us, this will resonate differently. But this very quickly gets to a point, it gets to a picture or a snapshot of what you need to know. So that's how I use the chakras. And also there's 8. So let's quickly cover that last one. So we all know the root, moving up, we go root, sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, crown, and then above us is the solar star, which is your connection to oneness. And so if you think of the crown as overcoming illusion, the greatest illusion we all live by is the illusion of separation. And so if you're pulling the solar star, and again I would recommend you looking all of these things up if you can, if you have the time. If not, just see what comes up when you think about these things. But the solar star is, so let's pretend we got it in this reading. It would be separating yourself from being separated in this world will allow you to more easily connect to your ancestors, because you'll realize that you're already a part of them, you always have been. And then finally we have the D6, and this is, I always put this last because it's just guidance. It gives you what is the next place to put your energy. Like, it's a very quick, and I sometimes pull this on its own if I'm doing tarot cards, and I should probably say I'm going to split this video into 3 parts. Not this video, this is dice casting. I'm then going to do another video about tarot reading and how I do my tarot spreads, and then finally I'm going to do how I combine the two. But just as an example, if I'm doing a quick guidance reading, I'll pull an oracle and I'll roll the D6. And from that alone, you can give someone very precise information in this moment. So the D6, patience, action, refrain, faith, resilience, logic. So for your reading here, we've got 5, which is resilience. And so you may feel like tapping into your ancestors, you may need to be a medium for. Well, resilience says that whatever obstacles, whatever beliefs you have just put up as a barrier, you'll overcome. And it's as simple as that. And so you now have a place to draw confidence from that solar plexus that we had earlier. You can now begin with confidence, and you've got the courage now to see what your ancestors actually have to tell you. And so if this was for a client, you then may do another reading on what your actual ancestors want to tell you. But if you have a set of dice, maybe you can do that for yourself and see what comes up. But I'll leave that there. I hope that helps. This is dice casting. Again, a huge thank you to Michelle for giving me the skeleton of this. If you go and check out her video, she has different meanings for the dice, and again, I'd highly recommend you checking it out. She's also got like a PDF that was very informative, so I'd recommend checking that out. And you may prefer her meanings over mine. I also missed one thing, and so what I didn't really, but I just want to write out. So D4, D12 is the energy of the situation. Both D10s and D20s, and the D20, sorry, is the answer. And so that's where you'll get the meat and potatoes of the reading. And then use the D6, the D8 and the D6 as your guidance moving forward now that you have an answer. So that's how I do dice casting. If this helped, please do like, sub, join the community. Like I said, this will be on Discord, so I'll link my Discord. I'll also link my TikTok, where I do daily readings, and you get to see some of these readings done for people. Also, if you have any other questions about this, please write them in the comment. I mean, by all means, just say hello. It's lovely to meet some of you beautiful people. My son's just walked in, so we better wrap this up quickly. But I'll leave it there. Hey, bud. Don't worry, I'm coming. From me, stay kind, stay cute, stay curious, my friends. And I'll see you all very soon.